Hello guys, this is my first live. I'm quite exciting. In the first video, I want to start to show you how we can create apps using obviously a Mac. Swift is a quite modern language, programming language. Some tools like Xcode for Mac. In a couple of weeks, I want to show you different argument, different subject. Today we just start to the basis. Then I show you how I create a Hello World apps. After that, a very simple bus body BMI calculator, body mass basically. Okay. If you have any questions, or if you are watching this video from YouTube, you can use the chat in the right hand side. If you are watching this video recorded, you have a forum. You can find the link underneath this video, or you can contact me on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or on my blog puresourcecode.com. All the links are in the section below this message. Just to start, if you have a Mac, we can work with a tool called Xcode. Xcode is quite unique tool because it's the only way we can create applications for iOS. Although you can see on my screen I have Visual Studio. I'm a .NET developer. I love C#, I love to use Visual Studio, but although we can use, for example, Xamarin or now Maui to create our mobile application for iOS and Android, we still need to use Xcode to compile our code. It's not possible to compile your code in a Windows machine or a Linux machine. If you want to create an app for macOS or iOS, you must have a Mac. In Visual Studio, when you create your application, for example in Maui, Visual Studio has to connect to your Mac machine and build the code. But it's not the purpose of this course. My focus is in Xcode. If you don't have Xcode, you can find for free on the Apple Store. Now I'm starting Xcode. Takes a while to start and present the first welcome page. In the welcome page, you have the possibility to create a new project. Is what we are doing basically in a second. You can clone an existing project. It's quite clear what you're going to do. Clone from, for example, from GitHub, github.com. The source code of this code is on GitHub. Also, you find the link below this video if you're watching on one of our platforms. Or basically, you can open a file, a project file. For today, I want to create a new project. Then I'm going to create a new one. To create a new one, you can choose what type of application you want to create. For today, we are going to create a very simple hello world. We are using this default app. Next, you have to select the product name. In this case, it's just hello world. You have to define the organization. Usually, it's common to use your domain in reverse. Then, how you can see is code.puresourcecode, because my site is puresourcecode.com. Then this is the reverse of my domain. In the other settings, as the interface, we are using storyboard and then Swift, as I said before. Okay. Then another important thing is the theme. You can set the theme right now if you have one. You can create a local theme. Basically, a developer can have a theme with just itself. If you don't have a certificate from Apple, you can just run your application in the simulator. If at some point you want to buy the Apple developer license, you can at that point connect your new certificate on Xcode, and then you can deploy your application also in a real device. For now, you can deploy only in the simulator. The simulator is something like this one. Okay, we're starting now. We are using iPhone 11 as a simulator, but you can use any other simulator you want. Xcode gives you a lot of other devices, okay? But we can see that in a short while. Then everything is okay here. Then I'm going next. I need to select where I want to create my project. In my computer, I have a projects folder where I put all my projects. Obviously, here
Sorry,
we have.
I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
By the way,
Alexa
I have a
doesn't know.
routine you might like. I can tell you the weather when you dismiss your alarm. Do you want to try
Alexa,
it?
stop. Sorry, Alexa wants to be part of this live show. Okay. Then I want to create here my new project. Just I create. I have another one, as I said. Okay, in this case, I want to replace the project I have created with a new one. Okay. Finally, we have our hello world ready to start. You can see we have this Xcode project. Here you have all the settings you choose at the beginning. There are other tabs here, like who is the team, what is the name of this project. But we are going to see in detail this part in the next video. For now, what is interesting to know, if you click on the main storyboard, basically you have the view controller. What is that? Basically, this is your app. When you have to create a new app, you have to start with a screen, and this screen is a view controller. We have different kind of view controllers. We can see that in the future, but for now the basic view controller is totally fine. Then from here we have some important part of the application. from Xcode we want to see. Basically, here is your project with all the files. Okay, the important thing is this one, storyboard. Okay, is this file, but also we have the view controller. The view controller.swift is basically the code behind the storyboard. If I double click on this one, I can see the code. At the beginning, we don't have absolutely nothing. If you want, here you can see all different screens. You can choose the screen you want to deploy your application. Obviously, we want to create an application cross device. Then there are some tweaks we have to have in mind. I show you in a second what I mean. But basically, if you just click on the device you want, you can see Xcode change the view for you. For our project, generally speaking, I'm going to use the iPhone 11, but you see will be very exactly the same if you're using other devices, or we have to create the UI for all the devices. I show you how now from the basis. When you want to see your application, here we have the list of the simulator you can use. The interesting one is this one, because with the new project called Catalyst, you can run your application in your Mac. For now, I select iPhone 11, basically simulator I chose before. If we run this application, obviously nothing happened, but we can see in our simulator the app, just a white screen for now. Okay, you see the build was a success, and at some point we have our blank screen as we expected. Okay, then now we can start. We said with hello world, very easy. We have to write hello world somewhere. For do that, we have to add a label. If I click here on this plus, you can see there are different objects. Okay, a label is the first one. Then I drag the label on my view controller. You can select where you want to put your label. Okay, you also see there is this ruler helps you to, for example, center this label on the screen. Be careful because you are centering this label only for your iPhone 11, not for other devices. If you play now this one, you can see the label is here. But if you change a device, for example an iPad, obviously this label is in a totally different position. This is why you have to tell Xcode where we want exactly to put this label, okay, and define the spaces. You can see here you have a bunch of icons. This one is the tab for the constraint. Basically, I want to say now the position of this label. This label has to start on the left, okay, with a space of 10 from the border, and on the right 10 too. okay? When I set that one, I have to add the constraint. I click here, and you can see now the label is large as the display. Also, when you click on an object, like now, you have a list of properties of this object. For example, we can center the text of this object, but also we can define the color. We can select, for example, if you want to highlight this label, if you want to put a shadow, something like that. Okay, you can play with this one. It's quite easy. Obviously, immediately you can see what is the result. Okay. If I change device, for example, an iPad, I can see the label is using all the horizontal space, but again, is not exactly where I expected. For this reason, again, I'm jump on my 11 view, and what I can do now is to add another constraint. For example, here I want to put the constraint at the top. Okay, then the label is here for all the devices. If I change the device here, you can see the label is exactly at the same, in the same position, okay, for every device. So we said hello world. Okay, hello world is here. Okay, now if I run again the application, I can see in my screen this very nice hello world. Okay, quite easy, straightforward. Obviously, this is just a simple way to change the UI, but what we can do now is something a bit more interesting. It is basically what we need to do when we want to work in the code with our applications. Basically, you can see I went here and I use the assistant. What do you mean assistant? Means you have the storyboard on the left and the code on the right. Okay. Depending on the settings, you can have also the storyboard at the top and the code underneath. Doesn't matter. What is important is you have the possibility to see at the same time your storyboard and also your code. Why is it important? Because now I want to change this label from the code. For that, it's quite interesting how Xcode allows us to connect the UI part with the code. If I click Control and then I click on the label, I can drop, you see, a line here. I can drop basically the label here. And there is this blue line that allow me to insert an outlet or an outlet collection. What does it mean? For now, I put a label, a name. I call this label with a lot of fantasy, my first label, okay? And then connect. Basically, what I have here is a connection between this label and my code. You can see I just draw a line. Now, if I want to change, for example, this text, I'm going to say my first label, okay? Obviously, I can type everything. I have to change the text. I want to change the text. There is a property called text. And then I can define what I want to show. For example, this is my first hello world with Swift. Okay? What do you think is happening now? I play the code. If we don't have errors, okay? Errors happen all the time. You see the label change with the code I put in my code, the string I put in my code. I want immediately to introduce you a concept is this exclamation mark. The exclamation mark is quite important because the exclamation mark tells Xcode this object could be null. What does it mean? It means it doesn't have any value. Okay, it's nil. Then this force Xcode to accept what we have here. In the next example, when we are going to create the BMI calculator, we understand a bit better about this exclamation mark. But for now, you know, it's something important we have to think about it. Okay. What we can do now, just because I want to add a bit more spice in this application, I want to add a button. Then again, I'm going here. When I click on the screen, I put a button here. Okay. And again, I'm going to define the constraint. Okay, then exactly the same as before, but now what I want to do is to define the constraint between this button and my label. So in any device we have the same space between these two objects. Basically, to do that, again I press Ctrl and then I click on the button and I put a line here, okay, on the hello world. And now we have a couple of options. What I want to do now is the vertical spacing. Then in every device I want to maintain the label first and then the button. Okay. Now, again, just because I want to create something a bit more meaningful for this first video, is